What's up, everyone? Justin here. Sadly, you can tell by what I'm wearing, what I got in the background. Sadly, this is my tribute show to Hulk Hogan, the immortal one, Hollywood Hogan, the incredible Hulk Hogan, whatever you want to call him. He had a lot of nicknames, Thunder Lips, whatever you want to call him. Hulk Hogan, sadly, has passed away. My first ever favorite wrestler. Again, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't be here on YouTube. I wouldn't be doing my wrestling channel. Who knows, man? Who knows? Without Hulk Hogan in my life as a child, I could have went down the wrong path. Seriously, I looked up to him. He was a childhood hero, wrestling hero of mine, childhood hero. Some kids might have looked up to, I don't know, Star Wars, or wanted to be firemen, policemen. Not me. Or some might have looked up to comic books and comic book characters. Not me. Because of Hulk Hogan, he got me into wrestling. He wanted me to be he made me want to be a pro wrestler. Even though I never tried to do it. But I wanted to. But that ship has sailed. And what is kind of strange about it, he passed away on the same day as my birthday. That's a bit strange. So yeah, I found out around like 8:40 in the morning on Thursday. Found out around 8:40. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I know there were rumors he was sick or in a coma or something, but I didn't really believe the rumors. And yeah, again, this is all I'm going to say about his controversies. Love him or hate him. If you hate him, good for you. Hope you do well in your life, keeping all that hate and anger inside of you. That's not good for you. Release it. I didn't know Terry Bollea. Never met the man, never hung out with him. I don't know how Terry Bollea acted off a camera, not in the public. I didn't know the man. Never met him. I know a ton of kids that met him, and a ton of friends of mine met him. They said he was great, great to the fans. But I didn't know Terry Bollea. So I'm not going to talk about Terry Bollea and the mistakes he made. Yeah, he made a lot of them. He made a lot of mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And if all you want to do, if you're a wrestling fan, especially if you grew up in the 80s and you were a wrestling fan in the 80s, 90s, through the Monday Night Wars, if you're a wrestling fan in the 80s and 90s, and all you want to do is not, or if you make a video and all you want to do is bash Hogan, bash what he said on tape, if that's all you want to do, that's how you want to remember him, that makes you feel better to just bash him, go ahead. But my channel, I'm not negative. I'm not a negative person. My channel is not about that. I don't make videos to just bash wrestlers I didn't like. But yeah, love them or hate them. You can't deny what he did for pro wrestling. And that's all I gotta say about Terry Bollea. Nobody's perfect. you're not perfect, and God, I see all these people just absolutely destroying him because they didn't like the man. You never met the man. You never met Terry Bollea. You never met him. So I don't get, I don't get it. You got so much hate towards the guy. Seriously, release your hatred. It will make you feel better in life to not live with hatred towards somebody. Again, I said he made mistakes. Of course he did. He did. He made mistakes. Everybody does. But I'm just, this tribute to Hulk Hogan, I just want to talk about his career and how he affected me as a fan. He got me into pro wrestling. He was my first favorite wrestler. His charisma was insane. The reactions he would get were insane. I was lucky enough to see him live wrestle in 1989 twice. 1989's the main event where Elizabeth got taken out by Savage through the ropes. I was there for that. I think that was January or February 89, the main event. It was the Twin Towers against the Mega Powers. That was the night the Mega Powers exploded. Savage backstage was nuts and attacked Hogan. So, yeah, I was there for that. That was the first time I saw Hulk Hogan. I was also at a house show in 1987, but I don't believe Hogan was on it because I would have remembered. But I saw him on the main event, 1989. I saw him on a house show in 1989. He was against Randy Savage in 1989 on that house show. God, it was a great experience as a kid. I was 5 years old. Might have turned 6, but 5 or 6 in 1989. Getting to see Hogan live and make his entrance, it was electric. It was so epic. It was so memorable. It was just awesome. I bought one of the Hawk Rules tank top shirts. I bought that. I didn't buy it, but my uncle took me to the event, and he bought the Hawk Rules shirt. He bought me this belt when I was there to see Hogan and Savage in the main event. I got this replica, cheap styrofoam around it, replica, but this is the original replicas, not the expensive ones that they put out now, and God, they're expensive, like $600. But yeah, I got that belt. I got a Hawk Rules shirt, which I don't have anymore. The Hawk Rules. In the back, it had rips in it. I got so much Hulk Hogan merchandise to share with you guys. Got this bandana, which I got in 2003 when he returned to WWE. I decided to buy this in 03. This Hulkamania bandana. This Hulkamania shirt. When he came back in 2003, it says, still running wild. And just got so much. I didn't have a great childhood, if you didn't know. I've said this on other videos. I had a rough fucking childhood. It was not great. My mom tried her best. She did her best. She's a single mother. Yeah, my father's in my life, but he was not living with us. My mom had to kick him out. He was an abusive alcoholic. So, yeah, I didn't really grow up with a father, barely. He was around, but he was not a good father. He had again, alcoholism, alcohol problem. He couldn't get over it. He couldn't stop. And guess what? It killed him. So kids, don't be an alcoholic. It will kill you. He died when he was 42. Same age I am. So yeah, I'm going to outlive my dad, sadly. But I will say one good thing about my childhood. A few good things. The major thing was pro wrestling. And Hulk Hogan got me through my childhood. Absolutely got me through it. I had a rough, tough childhood. Again, I was abused a few times by my father. I was hit and beat up by him a few times. But again, that happens to a lot of people in their childhood. A lot of kids could get abused. I'm not the only one. I'm not trying to tell you a sob story or try to make you don't feel sorry for me. Again, I had a rough childhood. Big deal. I got over it. And I think I turned out fine. Thankfully. And again, a great thing about my dad, he got me into pro wrestling. And Hulk Hogan was the first ever wrestler I saw. And like snap of a finger, immediately I was hooked. When I saw Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania running wild. What you gonna do, brother, when the 24-inch pythons and Hulkamania run wild on you? I loved his promos. I loved his look. The red and yellow gear. He looked like a superhero come to life. Again, I didn't care about movies or Star Wars. I wasn't into movies or Star Wars or comic books. I was into pro wrestling and Hulk Hogan. So he absolutely was my first favorite wrestler of all time. One of the biggest names. In my opinion, he's number one. Biggest star in the history of pro wrestling. Yeah, there's been others. You could argue, or Gorgeous George, you could argue, was a big star. He was. But Hogan, you could say Bruno Sammartino was super over and a big star in the New York East Coast area. And he was. Bruno sold out the Garden so many times. Bruno was the longest reigning world champion of all time in WWF history, WWE history. Bruno has a record. Still. And again, Bruno, superstar Billy Graham was a very successful world champion, sold out the Garden a lot. You could say Hogan just stole, and he did. Hogan just took what superstar Billy Graham did. He took his look. He took his look, and he took some of Austin Idol was doing this. Austin Idol was doing that. So he took some from Billy Graham and Austin Idol. He did. That's obvious. He took what they were doing. But guess what? He got it over more than they ever did. He was super over what he did. He didn't have to wrestle much in his WWF run. He didn't have to wrestle much. Why? He didn't have to take many bumps. Why would he? He was super over. All he had to do was hawk up, hit the big leg, or hit the big boot into the big leg drop, and that's it. Rip his shirt off, crowd went home, happy every time. Every show he's on, it's sold out. In the 80s, every fucking show, I bet. I don't have the exact numbers, but my guess, every show Hogan was on in the 80s was a sellout. And of course, he started in the AWA. I'll talk about his early career in a minute. A lot of reactions from the wrestling world, former pro wrestlers, his era, his generation of pro wrestlers have spoke out. Sergeant Slaughter, I saw, has done 2 interviews about Hogan, talking about him. Mick Foley talked about him. Many others have talked about him. YouTube is filled Good God, YouTube is filled with Hulk Hogan videos and tributes that people have made. And most of them, I watched a lot of them. People I don't even know. I don't even subscribe to. I wanted to hear their opinion. And most of them, all of them, are guys my age. Early 40s, late 30s, early 40s. All of them said how big of a Hulk Hogan fan they were and how they loved him like I did. So I'm not the only big Hulk Hogan fan. A lot of other YouTube channels have paid their respects and talked about Hulk Hogan and his impact on wrestling. Sting even posted, I think, a tweet on X. He said he'll miss him. He was his friend and he'll miss him, and Hogan was the greatest of all time. Sylvester Stallone posted about Hogan on Instagram. Hogan, I'm sure Paul White, the Big Show, Paul White, I'm sure he's upset about it. Hogan gave the Giant his big break. The Giant defeated Hogan in his debut. Hogan saw something in Paul White to give him the world title win over Hogan in his first ever match. At Halloween Havoc 98, Ric Flair was upset, choked up, crying. Ric Flair on TMZ was crying. Said how when Ric Flair was on his deathbed, he was told Hogan was there the whole time, by his side. I don't think many wrestlers visited Ric Flair. He probably has a lot of heat. Or, I don't know, a lot of wrestlers didn't like Ric Flair. And Ric Flair also has he also has not a good past, where he called Teddy Long the N-word in 1989 or 1990. So yeah, a lot of childhood heroes, they're not perfect. They all fuck up and do dumb shit. But this is about the man's career, Hulk Hogan's career. Not Terry Bollea and the disgusting stuff he did and said. It's not about that. It's about my fandom. It's about what Hulk Hogan meant to me as a fan. Growing up in my childhood, again, he meant so much. He got me through my rough childhood. Not only was I abused, but I was also sadly sexually abused at one point. Thankfully, it only happened once. And it was not from a parent or a relative, so don't try to guess. It's from a scumbag that was a lot older than me. And I thought he was my friend. And if I ever saw the guy again, I'd probably kill him, to be honest. Or I don't know. I don't know what I'd do if I saw the guy. I wouldn't want to talk to him. I know that. He's such a scumbag. He's probably locked up in jail now. Anyways, wherever he is, I don't give a crap. Back to Hulk Hogan. I'm not going to talk about my dark, rough childhood. Even though I said enough. Again, Hulk Hogan got me through my childhood. I looked up to him. He was a childhood hero. And looking back, as an older fan, as an adult, Hogan was underrated as a wrestler. He was underrated. He probably made the most money out of any pro wrestler in history, I think. He probably made the most money out of anybody in wrestling history. Well, I don't know about now, but he might have made the most money ever. He might have drew the most money in history. But according to WWE now, their product, or they've never made more money. So maybe today's era, they're drawing more money. Or they're making more in today's era, I guess. Probably because of Netflix deal. Hulk Hogan debuted. He was born August 11th. He has a birthday in 2 weeks. Sadly, he won't make it. He was born August 11th, 1953. Again, he passed away July 24th. My birthday yesterday, July 24th. He was 71 years old. He passed away in Clearwater, Florida. I think he was born in Tampa, Florida, or the Tampa area. I'm not sure. Actually, he was born in Georgia. Augusta, Georgia. I didn't know that. I thought he was born in Florida. Again, he had a lot of ring names, a lot of gimmicks. He started off the Super Destroyer, Terry Boulder, Sterling Golden. Who the hell came up with that? Sterling Golden. In Memphis, I think. Mr. America, good God, in 2003. Mr. America, he was, at one point, this was short-lived. He was a Hawk machine. He had a mask on as one of the machines. If you fans didn't watch in the 80s, you don't know who the machines were, but look them up. It was Andre the Giant, Giant Machine, Big Machine, Super Machine. And then he was Hawk Boulder, Hollywood Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan. And then he's also called the Incredible Hulk Hogan in his first WWF run. So let's read a bit about his early life. He was born in Augusta, Georgia. He has said in many interviews he grew up very poor. Very poor. His parents lived paycheck to paycheck. They were middle class. The one thing I don't like that just bothers me big time, offends me, that he openly went to the Trump Republican convention and openly supported Trump. A fucking traitor. A traitor of this country. Started January 6th insurrection in 2021. An absolute scumbag, Trump is, and has no business being president. He's too stupid to do the job. And guess what? The worst thing, also, he's a fucking pedophile. He's on the Epstein files, everybody. You know he is. He's on the Epstein files, all you Trump supporters. Look into it. He's definitely on the Epstein files. And there's way too much proof. Way too much proof of Trump and Epstein together. Caught on video. Caught in pictures, on video together. And God, Epstein even said Trump was his best friend for 10 years. That's just my opinion. There's no fucking way Trump was not involved with what Epstein was doing to underage girls. There's no way he was not involved. But yeah, that hurt me. That pissed me off. That Hogan went to the Republican convention. Not that I was shocked. It just pissed me off. Someone told me in my family Hogan was at the Republican convention. Like, they thought my reaction was going to be, oh my God, I hate him forever. I hate everything he did for wrestling. No. I expected, and I'm sure he's Republican for decades anyway. I'm sure he voted Republican for Ronald Reagan, George Bush, George W. Bush. I'm sure he's Republican for his whole life. I bet. But, again, to me, Trump is not a Republican. He's not normal. He's an absolute traitor, scumbag. Should be in jail. So I don't understand why Hogan would be so dumb to want to show up and help Trump, who is a traitor. of the country. And he doesn't give a damn about one American. He is just want to be president for himself, to make himself richer. I guarantee you he doesn't care about one American that voted for him. He's just an absolute con man that brainwashes people, and a criminal, and will do anything to stay in power and to absolutely just use his power for his own good, to get out of anything, to do anything. He's absolute corrupt. He's corrupt. The biggest corrupt, worst president of all time, in my opinion. Back to Hulk Hogan. So, yeah, he did a lot. Before wrestling, probably wasn't headed down a good path, but better path than his brother, sadly. Hulk Hogan's brother passed away from a drug overdose at the age of 38. Sadly, his brother passed away at age 38. Hogan has said that before, I believe, in interviews. Hulk Hogan then got in a rock band in 1976. He played the bass. Then he was going to a gym. He was where many wrestlers would hang out in Florida. He's at a gym. And he started, I guess his rock band was performing, and Jack and Gerald Briscoe kind of broke him into wrestling, got him into it. Jack and Gerald Briscoe, the Briscoe brothers. The two brothers wrestled in Florida. They were impressed by Hogan, how he looked, how big he was, his body. They were impressed. They asked Hiro Matsuda to train Hogan for championship wrestling from Florida. So the two brothers, the Briscoes, asked Hogan to try wrestling. Hogan agreed. Hogan also has said in interviews he was a fan as a kid, and his dad would take him to the matches, probably to see Eddie Graham. I don't know if these stories are true. Hogan has told a lot of lies in his stories. The older he gets, the more he exaggerates these stories. But yeah, according to Hogan, he met Graham while he was in high school, and the two did not get along. I guess him and Eddie Graham did not get along. Or maybe Eddie Graham Jr. I don't know. I think Eddie Graham Jr. went to high school with Hogan, I think. So Hogan trained with Hiro Matsuda when, Hiro Matsuda during his good God, I believe this story. During the first training session, Hiro Matsuda, he was old school wrestler. He, in the first training session, broke Hogan's leg. I guess to teach him a lesson and not come back and not come into wrestling. I don't know why. Why wouldn't the older wrestlers want to help a younger guy that looked like Hogan? I don't get that. Briscoes helped him, but Hiro Matsuda seemed like he didn't want to help him. Broke his leg. Hogan returned to train with Hiro Matsuda and blocked him when he tried to break his leg again. What the fuck, Hiro Matsuda? That's insane. So his early career, when did he make his debut? 1977 he debuted, I think. Or 75? No, 77. August 9th, 1977, Hulk Hogan made his debut. And the only guy he was trained by was Hiro Matsuda. I don't think Hiro Matsuda taught him much. I don't know. I would actually have heat. I would actually hold that inside towards Hiro Matsuda that he broke my leg. I wouldn't be able to get over that. But Hogan got over it and became the biggest star in wrestling. I bet Hiro Matsuda thought, oh, I broke his leg. I bet he thought he was going to be nothing. But Hogan went back and debuted, didn't give up. Debuted in 1977. There's a lot of info about Hogan from the late 70s. A lot here to read. I'm not going to go over everything. Hogan then met his friend Ed Leslie, became Brutus the Barber Beefcake. In my opinion, Ed Leslie would have just been a mid-carder forever if he didn't become friends with Hogan. Brutus Beefcake would have been a mid-carder forever. And he kind of was a mid-carder, but without Hogan, he would have never got pushed, ever. And he would have never got a job in WCW, I doubt it, for all those years. So Brutus, I know Brutus and Hogan were not talking anymore. Brutus was doing a lot of shoot interviews, saying Hogan was hitting on his wife and stuff. That Hogan was trying to hit on his wife. That's why they stopped being friends, I guess. I don't know. But I'm sure Brutus, even if you weren't friends anymore, I'm sure he's a bit sad about it. Because he's around Hogan for like 30, 40 years around him. So yeah, let's skip to his, he went to WWF 1979 to 1981. He was on a lot of early episodes on Peacock, actually, of Championship Wrestling. He was on a lot of those episodes. He's also on All-Star Wrestling. He also made his debut made his first appearance at Madison Square Garden, defeating Ted DiBiase December 17th, 1979 with a bear hug. That's old school finisher, a bear hug. People, wrestlers today never do that anymore. Bear hug finish in 2025 will not work unless you're like a giant. Then it could work. So Hogan in the early 80s, before he went to the AWA, feuded with Bob Backlund. He wrestled Bob Backlund for the WWF Championship. He had his first big feud with Andre the Giant at Shea Stadium in August 1980. And I saw those early matches of Hogan and Andre. They were good, man. They had great chemistry back in 1980. Some fans think, or WWF wanted to try to make us think at WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre never faced. Yes, they did. And they had good chemistry and good matches. I've seen their matches. And Hogan was a heel in his first run in WWF. He was a heel, and his manager was Classy Freddie Blassie. Then he went to New Japan Pro Wrestling in 1980 to 85. Hogan became right away number one. Super over in New Japan. Super over in Japan because how he looked. He toured the country a lot. In the next few years, he'd take on Fujinami, Abdullah the Butcher. Hogan was a way better wrestler in Japan. They let him wrestle. It's like he got better going to Japan, learning from the Japanese wrestlers. Probably helped him. He got to be a better wrestler than he got to use in the United States. He didn't use many moves, or he wasn't a technical wrestler. In U.S., he didn't have to be. But in Japan, he could work. He could fucking go. He could wrestle an hour. He could do a ton of technical moves. It was pretty amazing. And Hogan's a big guy. He's like 6'7", 6'8". Or at least 6'6". He was a big man, but he could go, he could move. He was a good worker. He didn't get enough credit. He knew how to work. But in the United States, he didn't have to work much. He didn't have to show everything he could do. Hogan started using his finish. In Japan, he started using a running leg drop in America, but in Japan, he was not. His finish in Japan was a lariat and an axe bomber. He still would... Hogan would still make some appearances in WWF. He challenged Pedro Morales for the Intercontinental title in 1981. Hogan became the first ever New Japan IWGP champion. The first ever IWGP New Japan champion. He was a tournament winner to hold the early version of the IWGP heavyweight title. So that's pretty awesome. He would leave Japan and go to the AWA, where he got Hulkamania, got super over. I don't know if Hogan came up with the Hulkamania shirt or Vern Gagne. I don't know. I think Hogan did. Before the Hulkamania shirt, he was wearing, I think a shirt that like said American Made or something. But yeah, Hulkamania was born. Not by Vince McMahon Jr., by Hulk Hogan in the AWA. Hulkamania was running wild in the AWA. How much time I got left? Yeah, I've been talking a while already. So Hulk Hogan went to the AWA, wrestled with Jerry Blackwell, feuded with him, feuded with Vern Gagne, or not feuded with Vern, but feuded with, he probably faced Vern as a heel, I think. But Hogan got so over in the AWA, they turned him babyface right away. And if Hogan was stayed, I swear, think about this, if Hogan stayed in the AWA, he might have made them #1 through all of the 80s. They might have kept making money, selling out everywhere. But Vern was not built. He was not built to do that. In my opinion, Vern Gagne did not want to go worldwide or global or international. He did not. Vern just wanted to keep the AWA a territory and not travel overseas or put his TV overseas. That's just my opinion. Vince McMahon Jr. saw what Hulk Hogan was doing in the AWA. He saw Hulkamania running wild. Vince Jr., I'm sure, thought, I want him. I'm going to get him, and I'm going to fucking take him from the AWA. He's going to be my top guy, my golden goose. Lightning in a bottle. Right place, right time. My God. Vince McMahon Jr. got Hogan to come to WWF in December 83. He came back. But before he came back, AWA, you dropped the ball. Vern Gagne, you fucked Hogan. You pissed him off so much. He wanted to leave. You were taking his merchandise money. You were taking his Japan contract money for yourself, or half of it. You were trying to take all his merchandise and his Japan money. And Hogan's like, no, you're not going to fucking do that. I'm going to leave. If you keep trying to screw me, stab me in the back like a damn promoter. A lot of promoters would stab you in the back. Not the front, in the back. At least Vince McMahon Jr., at least he stabbed all the promoters around the country that he put out of business. At least he stabbed them in the front instead of the back. He told them, I'm going to compete with you. I'm going to take over your TV station and I'm going to put my show on. And guess what? They didn't want to pay more money to the TV stations. They didn't want to pay more that Vince was willing to pay. So their company went under. And Vince has said this in interviews. He said, I didn't put them out of business. They didn't want to compete and pay the stations the amount of money I was paying. So yeah, they didn't want to compete. They were afraid, or they thought Vince would not cross the line and go after other promotions and their talent or their TV deals. Oh, I don't blame Vince. He went after them because he wanted to be number one. He needed Hogan. Vince needed Hogan. Hogan, in my opinion, did not need Vince. Hulkamania would have been fine. Hulkamania would have ran wild in the AWA. Seriously, I think AWA would have survived if Hogan stayed there. AWA would have survived. And Hogan would have made a lot of money in the AWA. They probably would have got on network TV to have specials for the AWA. They would have definitely got on ESPN or a TV deal with Hogan. Yeah, Vince helped Hogan and Hulkamania go up here. But in AWA, Hulkamania was still been up here. Vince just elevated it and made him a bigger star. And promoted him a lot better and didn't steal his money. God, Vince, I'm sure, made millions and millions and millions off Hogan. But Hogan also made millions and millions with Vince. They didn't screw each other over like Vern Gagne was trying to do. That's a mistake Vern Gagne made. Try to screw Hogan. Wouldn't give him the world title. Screwed the fans. The fans are pissed off as hell that you weren't giving Hogan the world title win over Nick Bockwinkel. You wouldn't do it. You would tease it, and you wouldn't do it, Vern. 1982, Hogan defeated Nick Bockwinkel in a non-title match. Handicapped non-title. I'm sure sold out in Chicago. Then he challenged repeatedly. Says Hogan repeatedly. Hogan a lot challenged Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA World Title with the matches ending in disqualification, all of them. Can't keep doing that is a finish. Can't do that over and over and over. Your fans will get fed up and leave. God, Vern. That's infuriating. You pissed off the fans so much you made Hogan want to leave. You wouldn't give him the title. And you stole his money. Tried to just be a crooked, old-timer promoter. Hogan left AWA because all the damn disqualifications. God, 1982, April, March, Hogan could not win the title. They acted like Hogan won the title, then the president or commissioner, Stanley Blackburn, stripped Hogan of the title because he used a foreign object. Hogan left AWA November 83. Hogan reportedly did this, sending his notice and quitting a letter to Vern. Vern thought it was a prank. I love that story. Vern thought it was a prank. So he just Yeah, Vern thought he got a prank, a letter from Hogan. He probably opened it. Like, oh, Hogan saying, I'm getting my notice. I quit. I thank you for what you did for me. Vern was probably like, oh, this Eddie Graham. Eddie Graham sent me this. And it was actually a real letter from Hogan. It wasn't a prank. But that's funny. Vern thought it was a prank. Like, seriously, Vern? You were out of touch. I'm shocked AWA got on ESPN. I'm actually shocked they got a TV deal. Because they were not good then. They were not very good. Return to WWF to have the insane, epic 10-year run from 1983 to 1993. Again, I swear, everywhere Hogan went, every show was sold out. From 84 and on and on and on and on. Every show was sold out he was on. WWF in the 80s, I don't know why. Vince was insane. Vince would not give the talent any time off. Even if they asked for it, he refused. Because, God, the greed, I guess, greed. He wanted to keep making it. Making more and more and more. You had enough, Vince. Could have booked your talent like 10 times a month. You still would have made a ton. But I've heard Roddy Piper say once with Vince, I was on the road for 90 days. 90 straight days, and I could not go home. And God, Jake the Snake has said he's on the road nonstop. He couldn't get home. Everybody was on the road nonstop. And Hogan, back in the 80s, was wrestling over 220 times a year. That's a lot. And sometimes they do double shows. I don't know if Hogan was ever on an afternoon show somewhere and then he was on a nighttime show somewhere else. I don't know, but it's possible. He might have wrestled twice a weekend or 3-4 times a weekend. I don't know. It was insane, the schedule. You think today's wrestlers are tough? Some of them are. But, God, could they handle the schedule in the 80s? I doubt it. They would get burned out and probably all quit. And, yeah, the promoters in the 80s, it was wrong. They took advantage of the wrestlers too much. They wouldn't give them time off, which was wrong, and that would just burn them out. That's not a way to run a company, to keep your wrestlers happy, to just non-stop have them working on the road. To me, that's like abusive. That's not good. But, yeah, times have changed, and their schedule now, they barely work. Like 2 times a week. Maybe 3-4 times if they have live events. So Hulkamania again ran wild in the WWF in the 80s. From 83 to end of 83 to fucking 93 with Hogan. Hogan had so many big feuds. The birth of Hulkamania, he defeated the Iron Sheik. January 1984. He defeats Iron Sheik. It was good versus evil. It was epic. Madison Square Garden exploded. And as Gorilla Monsoon said, the late, great Gorilla Monsoon, rest in peace, Gorilla. The late, great Gorilla said, Hulkamania is here after he defeated the Sheik. And Hulk Hogan, just let me give you some stats about his career. 6-time WWF champ, maybe 7 times. 7 or 6-time WWF champion. 6 or 7-time WCW World Champion. Had the 3rd longest reign ever in WWF history, WWE history. This is getting uncomfortable. I'm going to take it off. And I'll be back, guys. So I'm back, everybody. I had to get a drink. So as Gorilla Monsoon said, Hulkamania is here. And he was. Again, Hogan stats. He was the third longest world title reign in WWF, WWE history. The third longest reign. 1,400 days. 1,474 days as a champion. Main evented the first 8. Main evented the first 8. First 8 of 9 WrestleManias. He was the main event. In my opinion, he built WWF, put it on his back, carried them, built them to what they are today. He built the WWF, and then he went to WCW and turned them around with a little group called the NWO for life. Seriously, that's amazing. Was the biggest star in the WWF, went to WCW, actually made them #1 for about 83 weeks. And made WCW a lot of money. First WrestleMania was groundbreaking. He teamed up with Mr. T to take on Paul Orndorff and Rowdy Piper. That was so good. What a tag match in the first WrestleMania main event. Again, if it wasn't for Hulkamania, there would be no WrestleMania. And God, Hogan became the face of professional wrestling. Yeah, Ric Flair was a part of the NWA, but Hogan was the #1 guy. Hogan was the most recognized athlete in the world in the 80s. Everybody knew Hulk Hogan. He was on MTV. He was pop culture. He was bigger than wrestling. In the 80s, Hulk Hogan became bigger than the whole sport. He just took it over. He took over mainstream media, mainstream sports. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Where's that videotape? Yeah, speaking of MTV Rockin' Wrestling cartoon. Look what I got here. Look at that. Hulk Hogan Rockin' Wrestling. This episode is Ghost Wrestlers. I bought this a long time ago from Amazon. Back when they used to sell videos. Jeez, Hogan was on so many videotape covers, on so many DVD covers. Look at here, this old school. I'm such a fan, guys. I got a lot of old school videos in my collection. There's a George Animal Steel Coliseum home video. There's a Best of the WWF, Volume 13, Demolition. For some reason, Hulk Hogan is not on this Best of the WWF. I don't know why. He should have been on like every single one. They would have sold better. But Hogan's not even a part of this one, which is odd. He was a part of a lot of the Best of the WWFs. And WCW made a ton of money with him. There's another Best of WWF, Volume 12, DVD. Hogan's on here against Kamala. Really good title match. Hogan and Kamala from Boston Garden. So yeah, WCW videos. Look at this, uncensored 95. There's Hogan on the cover again. The most recognized wrestler of all time. WCW was smart to put him on a lot of the videos. There's Hog Wild 96. Again, look who's on the cover of the video. And God, WWE with their YouTube channels, WCW Vault, WWF, or WWF, WWE Vault channels, they get a ton of views. So they're going to start making a lot of money with those two YouTube channels off of Hogan matches. They're going to make a lot of money off that. Hulk Hogan dead, I bet will, God, make a lot of money. People selling Hulk Hogan stuff, like original, authentic Hulk Hogan merchandise. That's going to make a lot of damn money now that he passed away. Here are just some of my favorite matches, and I'm not done with the tribute talking about his career. His WWF run was it was wild. It was absolute mania. The crowd was so loud when I saw him live. When he came out, made his entrance, I've never heard a crowd explode as loud as that. I've been to a lot of sporting events, NBA, NFL games, and no crowd had a reaction that loud ever that I heard of than Hulk Hogan got. So, yeah, unreal. He was a generational, right time, right place, right time, lightning in a bottle, generational talent. Charisma was insane. His drawing power was insane. And I don't know if this is true. I heard for WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan made $10 million for WrestleMania 3. Good God. Good for him. A lot of wrestlers thought he's a major politician backstage, but he helped out the whole roster. He might have made more money than them, but he also helped them because they were on the same show with him and they got big paydays. Even Kamala. I heard a story someone told, I think yesterday, that Kamala was upset he was not being paid much against Hogan. And someone told Hogan Kamala's upset about his payoff. Hogan went to Vince and got Vince to pay Kamala a lot more. And the Jumping Bomb Angels actually, I think, tweeted or did an Instagram or a tweet. The Jumping Bomb Angels from the 80s. They did a tweet or a post about Hogan and said he's very nice to them. And there were two limos in the WWF, talents that had limos. Hogan had a huge limo, and the Jumping Bomb Angels, Vince, I guess, got them a limo. So here are just some of my favorite matches, some mentions of my favorite Hulk Hogan matches. I'm going to mention a few. Some are underrated. Some they should put on WWE's Vault channel. They got dark matches of Hogan, I bet. A ton of them from the 80s. They should upload all of them. Bob Backlund, 1983, I believe, or 82 or 81. Maybe 1980. I'm not sure of the year, but Hulk Hogan was a heel against Bob Backlund in Philadelphia at the Spectrum. It was a great match. They went like 45 minutes. Hogan and Bob Backlund seriously were wrestling non-stop. And it was awesome. Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, 1986, I think in April or May, in the Boston Garden. It was great. Hogan got busted open. He's wearing white tights and his white tights are all red. Because his blood went down his chest into the white tights. King Kong Bundy, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 2. Of course, WrestleMania 3. Iconic. Memorable forever. Hogan slamming Andre in that main event, and Hogan slamming him. Probably the most memorable, greatest WrestleMania moment of all time. But God, Hogan, Andre, WrestleMania 3. So good. I love this shirt. God, I got a lot of Hogan shirts, guys. Here's another one. Well, he wasn't in the Wolfpack, but he did wear this a little bit. And I think 99 he started wearing a Wolfpack shirt. Here's another one. I do have an original NWO shirt also. And I have a NWO for Life sweatshirt. Got this Hulkamania shirt. Got this one. Got a Hollywood Hogan shirt. Got another Hollywood Hogan shirt. It says Hollywood Rules. So yeah, guys, Hogan meant more to me than any pro athlete, anybody in movies at the time. Hogan meant everything to me. He was my childhood. And now my childhood, a part of it is dead. Forever. So other matches, he took on the One-Man Gang. I'll mention some of my favorite Hogan matches. He took on the One-Man Gang in Madison Square Garden, 1970. He also took on the One-Man Gang in Houston, Texas. Big Boss Man, Hulk Hogan, inside a cage in Madison Square Garden in 1989. It was so good. Great match, underrated. Ultimate Warrior Hogan, WrestleMania 6, The Ultimate Challenge. That was a great match. It shouldn't have been as good as it was. Because we saw what it was at Halloween Havoc 98. It was not as good as WrestleMania 6. But that was ego. That was because egos were involved. And Hogan wanted his win back from Warrior. Japan at the Tokyo Dome in 1993 against the Great Muta. That was great. Against Stan Hansen. In 1991 or 1990, Hogan, Stan Hansen in Japan in the, I think, Tokyo Dome. That was like a Japan WWF, All Japan Super Show, I think, at the time. That was awesome to see Stan Hansen, Hulk Hogan. Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan, January 84. WrestleMania 18. So good. Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan. He was a heel going into the match. The crowd turned him babyface in Toronto. That was so good. WrestleMania 19 I enjoyed. Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon against Hulk Hogan. Before I get into, yeah, he signed, and I'm not going to talk much about his WCW run because I don't want to talk forever. But he signed with WCW in the summer, June 94, June 94. Debuted at Bash at the Beach, 94. Defeated Ric Flair for the world title. It was a damn good match. Really good match between Flair and Hogan. A lot of the matches were not good. They were basic, same spots over and over. But Bash at the Beach was Hogan and Flair's best matchup, in my opinion. They took on each other a lot in WCW. One time in WWE on TV, on a Raw in 2002. Never Yeah, all those house shows were televised at Madison Square Garden in '91. Hogan and Flair took on each other twice at Madison Square Garden in '91, and those matches, I've seen them. They were taped, I think, for Madison Square Garden Network. But yeah, Hogan Flair was on Raw in 2002. Check that out if you have Netflix or whatever, however you find Raw. Here's some more Hulk Hogan merchandise I got that I want to share, guys, before I talk about his heel turn. His epic heel turn at Bash at the Beach on '96, where he went from red and yellow to black and white. Here's the original Hulk Hogan action figure. It's pretty beat up. It's very old. So figure's like over 40 years old. So he's beat up and dirty. I don't know how he got red paint on him. Seriously, I don't know how. But as a kid, my God, I love this. Wrestled with it a ton in the giant monster ring. Here's, I also have a Hulk Hogan Hasbro, like 1991 Hasbro figure, but I didn't look for it. Here's a WCW Hulk Hogan from '94. And my God, I think Hulk Hogan had the most merchandise ever for like any wrestler. They sold everything with his face on it. He had like, I think he had bubble bath also, and like shampoo at one point. That's insane. Here's another, here's a Hollywood Hogan era figures. This is a great figure. Hollywood Hogan. Great paint job on the boots. Here's another Hollywood Hogan that is useless because it doesn't move. So he can move his arms, that's about it, and that. But what a horrible design of a figure. Yeah, and he used to vibrate, but the butt, he doesn't vibrate anymore. I think the battery's dead. He's got a battery inside of him. But yeah, there's an NWO, another Hollywood Hogan. God, he had so much merchandise. Can you imagine the money? God, the money Vince made. Whoever made Hulk Hogan merchandise, the money they had to make off of that. Holy shit. It was 2000 Hulk Hogan WCW figure. Here's a 2002 WWE Hollywood Hogan. 2002. So, one more item I got of Hogan merchandise. Here it is. The legendary wrestling buddy. The absolute legendary Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy. Here it is. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. God, as a kid, I loved this. I absolutely loved it. Wrestled him a ton. Beat him up a ton. Suplexing him, DDTs, everything. Every move I could possibly imagine. Every move I would copy that I would see on wrestling and do it on a wrestling buddy. So good. God, this is a great idea. Whoever came up with this merchandise. Let's put out a wrestling buddy. What a great idea. Because I wanted it as a kid. Jeez. I have another one. I have Jake the Snake also, and Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy still. So there's too many feuds to mention. Hulk Hogan had so many epic rivalries and feuds in the 80s, starting with Rowdy Piper, Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy, Big John Studd, One Man Gang, Kamala, Paul Orndorff, he took on everybody. Randy Savage, he had a great feud and rivalry with. The Mega Powers exploding was great. Andre ripping off the cross was great. Hogan, $1 Million Man, were good matches and a feud. Hogan and Earthquake, great feud. Hogan and the Big Boss Man, they had a steel cage match on a Saturday night's main event. But the cage match they had at Madison Square Garden was a lot better. Again, Hogan went to WCW. But before he went to WCW, we all know he jobbed to Yokozuna, won the title at WrestleMania 9, dropped it to Yokozuna, left WWF, went to film TV. Thought he was going to be a TV Hollywood star. Filmed first movie is No Holds Barred. I enjoy it, but that's because I like nostalgia, and I think No Holds Barred is funny. I think it's actually pretty funny. And if you're a wrestling fan, I think you probably like that movie a little bit. So, yeah, No Holds Barred, Mr. Nanny, the movie. Suburban Commando was pretty good. Suburban Commando, by the way, fun fact, The Undertaker was in it. He then did his TV series, Thunder in Paradise, I think, for 2 seasons. So, yeah, Hogan, then they had a parade for him. They actually had a parade at Universal Disney, MGM Studios, had a ceremony, parade, that Hogan officially signed with WCW. God, June 11th, 94. That is 31 years ago. Then again, his run in 94, except for beating Ric Flair, it was not that good. Starrcade 94 main event was shit. I did not like it. 95 was not very good either. He started teaming with Randy Savage again like they were the Mega Powers in 1995. And the fans started turning on Hogan in 95, 96. He was not getting as many. He was still getting cheered. Like, look at the videos. He was still cheered. Fans are still buying his foam. His foam thing where he's posing. The foam not the finger, but the foam finger was WWF merchandise. WCW had him like this, posing. But yeah, a lot of fans were buying it. They had those. 1994, I went to a WCW house show. My only WCW event was that house show in 94. I didn't see any Hogan merchandise yet because he didn't sign yet. This is all I got. I got a Jimmy Hart megaphone at the house show, and I got this WCW wrestling mask at that 94 house show. If they had Hogan merchandise, I would have bought it. I think this I bought when he came to WCW. This came out. I think I got this at like a Walgreens. I grabbed it and found it at a Walgreens, it had to be a Walgreens or Toys R Us. On all my other Hogan figures, I got at Toys R Us. So let's talk about the heel turn. Bash at the Beach in 96. Who is a third man? For Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. Who is a third man? It was not going to be Sting, because Sting was teaming up with Lex and Macho. Hogan comes down to the ring. Bobby Heenan kind of spoiled it. That was funny, but he spoiled it. He's like, but whose side is he on? The thing is, Tony Schiavone then yelled at him like, what are you talking about? Whose side is he on? Gets in the ring. Leg drops Randy Savage. The crowd went nuts and popped and were angry and were shocked. Threw trash in the ring. Soda cans, beer bottles. It was great. It was great. Looking back on it, maybe because it's nostalgia from when I was 12 years old. Looking back on the Hogan heel turn, to me it's the greatest heel turn of all time. The only other heel turn that was so good was Andre the Giant. Going into WrestleMania 3, Andre turned on Hogan. That was so good. But the greatest of all time is probably Hulk Hogan in '96 turning heel. Then the New World Order was born. They ran wild. It was great TV on Nitros. It was must-watch wrestling television. It was must-watch every Monday night to see what the NWO was going to do. It was just ahead of its time, revolutionary. It was so good. Then the NWO got stale. And it got boring. And they had way too many jobbers and mid-carders join it. Way too many. Way too many joined. So then they tried to come together. The red and black and the white and black. And they came together and beat up Goldberg. Finger poke of doom and all that bullshit. Then Hogan returned in 2000, part of the Millionaires Club. 99, I was still a fan of Hogan. I've always been a fan of him every time he returned. I was happy to see it. But, yeah, 99, to be honest, I didn't follow WCW much. I didn't order any of their pay-per-views in 99. I was really hooked on WWF in 99, and I was really hooked on ECW also. I was absolutely obsessed with WWF and ECW in 99. But I still knew what Hogan was doing. He was feuding with Ric Flair. That was pretty good. Then in 2000 he came back and was going against the New Blood and Billy Kidman. That was not believable. Nothing against Billy Kidman, but you were not on the level of Hogan. You looked like you were 14 years old trying to fight a grown-ass man. So then, Bash at the Beach 2000, that bullshit. Vince Russo called out Hogan, called him a whole bunch of names, cursing at him like an idiot. Then Hogan sued WCW in a lawsuit against Russo after it. But the lawsuit was dismissed in 2002. Russo claims the whole thing was a work. I don't fucking know. I doubt it. But Eric Bischoff agreed and was on Hogan's side. And Hogan winning and leaving with the belt was a work, but Russo, I didn't want that, I guess. Who knows? It was odd. If it was a work, why would Hogan file a lawsuit? Come on. He didn't go to WWF right away in 2001, sadly. Was not a part of the invasion. That would have been way better. And look, guys, like some YouTubers have said, I've heard, they stop watching wrestling when they grow out of it as a teenager or whatever. I never grew out of it. I never stopped watching ever. So I watched through the whole invasion in 2001. It was a sad day when ECW closed, WCW closed. It was sad. I was excited for the invasion, but without Hogan, Hall, and Nash, it was a failure. But Hogan returned to WWF in 2002 and 03. Wrestled on Raw a couple of times in 2002. Took on us. I would have liked to see Hogan Hollywood against Stone Cold, but he couldn't agree to wrestle, I guess. They had both the big egos. Neither would have wanted to lose, I bet. So Hogan actually jobbed on a SmackDown. He put up a good fight, but Hogan got destroyed by Brock Lesnar in 2002 on SmackDown before SummerSlam. That was kind of shocking. Hogan got destroyed. He also wrestled Kurt Angle in 2002, The Undertaker, and Chris Jericho. And Triple H at Backlash. He won the WWE Undisputed title. That was such a great moment. I was very happy. Again, because of nostalgia. It was my childhood. My childhood favorite. Hollywood Hogan returning, winning the Undisputed World title. I didn't care he was old. I was happy. I liked it. I loved it. So he came back in 03, took on The Rock at No Way Out. That was good. Took on Mr. McMahon, WrestleMania 19. That was good. Then he was Mr. America for a while, which was stupid, but I thought it was funny. He was on a couple of SmackDowns and 6-man tags. Then he was unmasked. Showed footage he was unmasked, and Hogan, then Vince fired him because he was unmasked. But Hogan said he quit in real life. Or whatever. So it claims later is revealed Hogan was unhappy with payoffs for his matches as a Mr. America gimmick. Vince terminated his contract in a storyline. Went back to New Japan in 2003. Defeated Masahiro Chono at the Tokyo Dome. Shortly after the match, Jeff Jarrett broke a guitar over his head. Then there was all these rumors Hogan was going to TNA. Hulk Hogan was actually going to go to TNA. That would have been weird. Against Jeff Jarrett for the NWA title, I guess. Hogan actually cut a promo for TNA. He cut a promo. TNA was using it on their TV and pay-per-views. TNA actually was using the Hogan promo. He was cutting a promo like, "This is where the power lies, TNA Wrestling, I'm coming," or something. And then he never came. I don't know why. Let's see if I can find out. He was attacked by Jeff Jarrett after the Tokyo Dome match, and due to his recurring knee and hip problems, Hogan did not appear in TNA. He also would have wanted a ton of money from Dixie Carter or Panda Energy. Hogan returned again in 2005 to 07. Took on Shawn Michaels. Returned at WrestleMania 21. Got a big pop. Took on took on Muhammad Hassan and Daivari at Backlash with Shawn Michaels and Hogan as partners. I was entertained by that. Shawn Michaels super kicked Hogan. On an episode of Raw, he turned on him. And guess what, guys? I actually got the magazine. There it is. When I turned on Hogan. In, 2005 in the summer. And they had a match at SummerSlam 2005 where Shawn Michaels is bumping around like crazy. I don't know if he did that on purpose. Probably. Who knows? Here's another, more Hogan merchandise I almost forgot to show you. There's another, I got more magazines with Hogan, but I don't feel like digging them out looking for them. Here's a Wrestle America from 1997. Hulk Hogan. The NWO is taking over the WWF next. Yeah, we would have to wait till 2002 for that. Which, the NWO takeover is not good in the WWF. It sadly was a failure because Scott Hall got fired. Here's another one. Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I love this magazine cover. Giant Killer Hogan topples Andre at WrestleMania 3. Again, I have a few more Hogan magazine covers, but I don't feel like looking for them. Look at this. Speaking of Scott Hall, here's his WCW figure box that I just found. So after his, then he took on Randy Orton. SummerSlam 2006, he jobbed to Randy. That was surprising. Randy was a legend killer at the time. I enjoyed that, but Hogan could not do much by 06. And then he was gone in 07. He showed up on Raw's 15th anniversary and teased a match with the Great Khali, it seemed like. I thought they were going to have the Great Khali and Hogan at WrestleMania 23, but they did not do it. Hogan was too beat up. He couldn't go anymore. He was wrestling since 1977, guys. So he's beat up big time. All his body parts, he has said in interviews, are not his original body parts anymore. He needed shoulder surgeries, knee replacements, hip replacements. He shouldn't have done the leg drop as your finish. That was a mistake. It was exciting for the 80s. For the 80s, it was a great finish. Jump up in the air and drop a leg. That was awesome. For the time, it was a great finish. But, man, jumping up in the air, landing on your ass, pressure on your spinal cord, that's not good for your back. He had like 10 back surgeries, knee replacements, hip replacements, neck surgery right before he passed. He had neck surgery. Jimmy Hart said he couldn't speak anymore after the neck surgery. I don't know what happened. The surgery might have killed him, but I don't think so. Because why would you have a heart attack from like 2 months after a neck surgery? Unless the heart attack was from complications of an infection or something. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, guys, but his neck surgery fucked him up, I guess. Put him in a coma, maybe. Messed up his vocal cords. So I'll be done here soon, guys. Yeah. That surgery messed his body up, I believe. But I don't think it made him have a cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest probably due to steroid use and just on the road so much in the 80s. Like the party, rock and roll lifestyle of a rock star probably did not help his heart. And the steroid use is not good for the heart. But that's irrelevant why he had a heart attack. That has nothing to do with what he did for wrestling, what he did in wrestling then. Again, after '07. He did a reality show, Hogan Knows Best, in '05 or whenever that was, '06. I enjoyed it because I like to see what Hogan was like in real life in his home, how he acted. The whole show was probably scripted, and I don't think they acted normal, probably, in front of the cameras. My thoughts go out not to his son, Nick. I think Nick Hogan is an idiot. That's how I feel. My thoughts go out to Brooke Hogan. She seems like a very nice woman. She's never gotten in trouble. She's never said anything controversial or offensive. She has children. I think she has 2 kids or 1 kid. She has a family. So my thoughts go out to Brooke Hogan. Linda Hogan, my thoughts do not go out to you or Nick. Linda, you were a gold digger user, in my opinion. You used Hogan for every penny he had. You didn't take one bump. He made all the money. And you probably took all his money in the divorce. And you didn't deserve it. Linda and Hogan, you didn't deserve a dime. Because Hogan broke his body for wrestling. Broke his body for wrestling. And you didn't deserve to take all his money. I'm sure you got enough of his money when you were married. I'm sure. You spent all his money probably. Most of it. Like anything you could get your hands on, you probably spent. And, yeah, don't feel sorry for Linda Hogan or Nick. Linda Hogan was a bad, bad mother. She started dating, I think, Nick or Brooks, some guy that's the same age as them in their high school with them. She started dating him. Some guy was like 20 years old. She was dating him and she was like 50. That's insane. Why'd you date a friend of your son? That's sick. You're mental if you do that as a parent. That's mental. So yeah, then he went to TNA. I was excited. They tried to start the Monday Night Wars again. It did not work. WWE killed TNA on Monday nights. But yeah, my final thoughts. Hulk Hogan, you're the Babe Ruth of wrestling. You built the WWE from the ground up with Vince. You took it international. You took it worldwide, global. WWF became a global phenomenon. They became mainstream in the 80s. In the 90s, not really. During the Attitude Era, they got mainstream again and talked about more, but not in the early 90s. Not even in the 2000s, you weren't mainstream. And yeah, Hogan's the biggest star in the history of the company. Not John Cena. Not The Undertaker. Not Shawn Michaels. Not Bret Hart. Not Randy Savage. And to me, none of these guys are better. Hogan was better than all of them because he drew more money. He had the company on his back. He had all that pressure of carrying the company and being the top guy. Yeah, no, of course not. I'm not saying Hogan was a better wrestler. He was not better than Bret or Shawn. But as a main eventer, as a face of a company, as the number one guy, Hogan was it. Period. He was better than Randy Savage, better than Bret, better than Shawn, better than Taker, as the number one guy and the face of the company. The only other guy that I would say was better, on the same level almost, was Stone Cold Steve Austin during the Attitude Era. But to me, Hulk Hogan's the biggest name of all time in the history of pro wrestling. Nobody. You say the name Hulk Hogan, forever you're going to think, yeah, he was the guy that started pro wrestling and made it mainstream. Put it in the mainstream. Took it from little bingo halls and little gyms, little arenas, little auditoriums. Took it from there up to here to sellouts in stadiums. Football stadium sellouts, baseball stadium sellouts. Oh, in Milwaukee, WrestleFest 88. Sadly, I didn't get to go. I didn't know about it. I would have tried to go. I was only 4 years old. And growing up again with a single mother, we didn't have a ton of money to go to wrestling shows all the time. But WrestleFest 88, historic show in Milwaukee at the county stadium where the Brewers played. It drew 25,000 in a baseball stadium. That's a good crowd for a random show in the summer that was not a pay-per-view. And Andre the Giant was in a cage against Hogan. My final thoughts: Hulkster, Hulkamania, Hollywood Hogan. Your career, man, your career's untouched. Nobody will get to your level. Nobody ever again will be a bigger star than Hulk Hogan. TKO, you can try all you want. You're never going to find a Hulk Hogan. The closest you came, WWF, is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hogan's number one to me. Hogan is the number one guy, number one most important wrestler in the history of pro wrestling that drew the most money and helped the WWF survive and go international. Of course, Stone Cold helped a lot too in the Attitude Era, but they were not going to go out of business when Stone Cold was there. They were not going to go under before he caught fire. This is hard, man. This is the hardest tribute I've ever had to do, because Hulk Hogan was my guy, my favorite wrestler of all time. The first wrestler I ever saw on TV that got me hooked. As a fan to this day, I've been a fan for 38 years. Or 39 years, actually, because I just had a birthday. 39 years I've been a fan because of Hulk Hogan. For 39 years. This guy's got me hooked to be obsessed and hooked on pro wrestling. So, Hulk Hogan, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace, brother, for life.